On. All right. Is there anyone there in the room with you from Angola? The staff?
Rochelle Ambo, Deputy Warden.
Well, thank you, Warden. I couldn't see you on the screen. We were having a little difficulty. Anyone else there with you, Warden?
Criminal Lateral Classification.
And Cavalier Offender Records.
Tanya Faust, hospice nurse.
Thank you very much. Our first case is going to be Mr. Adonis K. Brooks. Mr. Brooks, would you give us your full name and DOC number?
Adonis Brooks, 323763.
Mr. Brooks, let me explain our process to you. I am going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to have a pardon interview with you. After that interview, those persons who wish to be heard will have their input. Here today on your behalf is your daughter, Miss Keisha Williams. She'll be speaking. Your attorney, Miss Emma Douglas, your wife, Elisa Fulmore, and your friend, Reginald Watts. Also present, but not speaking, is Otto Ramsey, Patrick Duncan, Cantel Reed Simon, Desiree Ford, Ramona Brooks Hall, Jermond Hall, Felicia Jackson, Myra Toussaint, Diamond Joseph, Terriana Ford, Darrell Waters, and Barbara Watts. Speaking in opposition is the Louisiana Attorney General's office, Mr. Marty White, Miss Linda Barrett, Mr. Anthony Bartlett, Miss Linda Bartlett, Mr. Anthony Bartlett IV, and Roger Jordan. Also present but not speaking is Breon Sambola, Caitlin Periu, Ben Bartlett, George Bartlett, Amos Bartlett, Jane Bartlett, Laura Fahey, Peggy Wallace, Ann Lowry, Harry Bartlett, Chip Duncan, Dennis Harchoff, and I only have a friend named Diane. Sorry, I don't have Otto Ramsey and Patrick Duncan. I hope I got everyone who is here to participate. This is the matter of Adonis Brooks. Mr. Brooks' DOC number is 323763. His date of birth is January the 22nd of 1974. He's a first-class offender. He is serving a life sentence on the charges of second-degree murder and armed robbery, having been sentenced on April the 7th of 1993. Mr. Brooks, is all of that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brooks, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Mr. Freeman will begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions he might have? Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Brooks, how old are you?
Hello, everyone. Just wanted to say that we are here live at Mandu. I won't be interrupting too often but just wanted to say hello and confirm that I actually am live. This is not pre-recorded. But with that, we'll jump in and we'll do the usual of reviewing the case afterwards. I do have the court transcript and it's an interesting one. So we'll do a live unpacking at the end.
'49.
Okay, how old were you when you committed this crime?
18 years old.
And how long have you been in prison?
31 years.
What's your educational level?
I completed a GED.
Did you complete that while you were in prison?
Yes, sir.
Any other classes? I mean, not classes, but any other educational classes?
No, so I have a trade in masonry.
We're gonna get to that. I just wanted to make sure you didn't take no college courses or anything. Okay, Mr. Brooks, on this date, you robbed Francel Monyor. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. She was in a car. Tell me why. I mean, it's the big thing. Did y'all take anything?
Yes, sir.
What did y'all take?
It was some money and a few items. I don't remember the items.
Okay. All right. Was just a random victim? But
Yes,
did
sir.
y'all know?
I ain't hear you.
I said, did you know her or it was just a random victim?
It was just a random victim.
Okay, so tell me about this night. I mean, it looks like y'all was on a little crime spree. What was going on?
On the night of April the 22nd, I had just got off from work, stopped at the corner store and purchased a pint of Crown Raw. And they had a dice game going on, and I stopped and watched, and I started playing dice that night with them. After I had lost my money, I was just standing there watching, and in my mind, I needed to find out how to make some money back that I had lost in the dice game. So I asked the guy, Red, did he want to go to do something to make a little money back that we had just lost in the dice game? So I locked my car up, and we proceeded to walk to the Carrollton area. And we spotted a lady in the Carrollton area in a dim lit area, reaching inside her car, and we walked up on her fast. I pulled out the gun and demanded her money and the items she had on her.
Okay, so you pulled out the gun.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, later y'all came in contact with Mr. Anthony Bartley. Tell me what happened here.
But after we robbed the lady in the driveway, we ran off down the back street. And after about a block and a half, we started walking at a fast pace. And while walking, a man pulled up on a bicycle and asked us what we were doing in that area. I pulled out the gun, and we was walking a little more, and he kind of like swung right in front of us on a bike and asked us what we were doing in the area again. He had said it this time louder, and I panicked. I pulled the gun up, turned it towards him, and shot him. And we started running. And we ran off back into the area where we went out. I made it back to the car and went home.
Okay, it says people heard y'all laughing after y'all shot him. Did y'all laugh after y'all shot Mr. Bartley?
We went in two different directions. After we ran off, we went in two different directions. And I went back to my car, and that was it.
So you shot the man in the face for asking you why you were in his neighborhood.
I panicked, and I shot him.
Were drugs involved in this incident?
No, sir, there wasn't no drugs in that incident.
Did you use drugs and alcohol at that time?
I had drank some Crown Royal while playing dice.
Okay. What about any drugs?
Didn't use no drugs that night.
Had you used drugs before?
Yeah, I smoked marijuana before, sir.
Have you taken any treatment since you've been incarcerated for these drugs?
Yes, sir.
What you taken?
The substance abuse classic, chemical imbalance classes 1 and 2. Living in balance 1 and 2.
What other classes have you taken?
Malachi Dad, 100 hours.
You ever taken anger management?
Yes, sir.
What did you learn from anger management?
How to control myself in hostile situations such as breathe, think about what you're getting into, calm down before you respond.
Okay, did you ever take victim awareness?
Inside the 100 hours,
Okay, so you haven't taken the class victim awareness, you just took. What about, I mean, the anger management, was that within the 100 hours or that was a class you took?
that was a class outside the 100 hours.
You know, you have strong opposition from both the law enforcement community and the victim's family. And there's so many, I just feel I need to read them. There's no comment from the judge in New Orleans. Jeff Landry's office is opposed. That's Attorney General. I take it they must have prosecuted the case. No comment from Sheriff Gussman. Opposed the superintendent, Mr. Ferguson. Your family, Elisa Brooks, your wife is unopposed. Unopposed is Ramona Hall, your sister. The lady in the armed robbery had no comment with regards to the charges. She just stated that you robbed her while she was looking for cassettes. She was looking for cassettes in her car. Opposed is Linda Bartlett, the widow of Mr. Bartlett. Opposed is Christopher Bartlett, son of Mr. Bartlett. Ben Bartlett, another son. Thomas Bartlett, his brother. George Bartlett is opposed. Rebecca Bartlett, a niece. Well, yeah. George, his nephew. Gary, his sister-in-law. Michael Bartlett, a nephew. A niece, Coco Bartlett. Ann Laurie, a friend. Elise LaCour Itman, a friend. Brian Rodriguez, another friend. Peggy Wallace, a friend of the family. Jacqueline Falter, a friend. Dennis Hawkins, a friend. Sarah Lipman, a friend. His son, Anthony Bartlett IV, and Denise Harcho, they both wrote letters to him. So you have a lot of opposition from both the victim side of things and the law enforcement. So if you could talk to the victims, what would you tell them?
What I would like to tell them is I can't change what I have done to the Bartlett's family. I can't change what I took away from them. I can't change what I took away from Miss Manoa, the fear I planted in her. But at this time, I would just like to express my regret and my sincere apologies to their family for what I have done in my senseless actions that night. It was totally my fault, and nobody deserved what I did to him, robbing her or shooting Mr. Bartlett. It was totally a senseless act.
Okay. Your arrest record, it's short. Because you were 18 when it happened, but you do have a charge on that for possession of a firearm by a felon. What kind of gun were you carrying in that case?
The night of the firearm, they charged me with a felon with a firearm. That was my first time being arrested. The gun was in a car owned by George Hampton, and he dismissed the charge because I wasn't a felon. The gun was registered to him.
Okay.
they threw that charge out, but they arrested me because I was in the corner, but I wasn't a felon or anything. I had no arrest or nothing at that time. They locked me up and they threw away that charge. I never went to court for it, nothing never happened.
I see that. I just wanted to see if you had a gun in that instance or not. You have a low risk. You're in very good medical condition. You had 28 write-ups. I think the last was in 2006. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have a good disciplinary record. What's your transition plan and your sobriety plan?
Well, when I leave, I was gonna be transitioning to the parole project, where I was gonna get they accepted to help me out. I was gonna get the help that I need to transition back into society. And after I received that help, I was planning to move with my wife up in Florida.
So you're minimum custody, you had a good work record. So you did take the substance abuse, AA, anger management, AIDS, peer education, Malachi dance. Anything else you've done for the community since you've been in prison?
I was the vice president of the club at Camp F. I worked the business shed at Camp C. And right now, I volunteer. Well, I just got opportunities to work in hospice, but I've been volunteering with hospice work, and I work on add 2 medical dormitories.
All right, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Roche, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Matt, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brooks, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Do you remember your first arrest?
As a juvenile, an adult?
Do you remember your first arrest?
Yes, sir.
At the age of what?
17.
You were 13. You were arrested at the age of 13. All of them, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you spent 3 months at the Youth Study Center in New Orleans before you were placed on juvenile probation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
3 months after that, you were arrested for armed robbery. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were sentenced to Louisiana Training Institute in Monroe.
Yes, sir.
And you stayed there until you were 16 years old. Am I correct?
Thank you, Phyllis. That's so generous of you. Welcome all you new Mandu family members.
Yes, sir.
And only 2 years after that, you committed these crimes.
Yes, sir.
So you've been in the system since you were 13 years old.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, why did I vote for you today? Because I consider you a career criminal. You were let out of the detention center, and then months later, you were arrested for armed robbery. 2 years after you got out of juvenile facility, you were arrested for the murder of Mr. Barton. So tell me why.
I should be granted parole because I'm not the same 18-year-old, ignorant, illiterate, self-centered, know-it-all.
Thank you, Invisible. That's too generous of you. You're modding and donating.
Person I was at that time when I was arrested.
But do you think this process is all about you?
Definitely not, sir.
This process involves law enforcement statements. This process involves restitution or retribution for the crimes that you committed. And it is about the victim of this crime who is still mentally, physically, and emotionally affected today by the crimes that you committed back almost 35 years ago. You've affected the lives of multiple people, your family and the victim's family. So what about the retribution that you have to pay back to society for committing such an egregious offense?
Well, I've been since my arrest, and after about 6 or 7 years, and I had an event that took place, which is called, it was the Returning Horse event. I don't know if y'all familiar with what this day creates for you. But it's a day when they allow you to spend with your children. And I was awarded the opportunity to spend this day with my daughter. And during this day, you get to do different things with them, play games and just share a beautiful day with them. But at the end of the day, they give you a chance to sit down and just have some quiet time with you, your child, and the chaperone is still there, but they give you that time by yourself. And what happened to me this day was they came on the microphone and asked if anyone would like to pray with their children. I wasn't religious at the time. I didn't know anything about God except he was God. And my daughter asked me, could she pray with me? At first, I was like, well, I didn't know how to pray right, so I agreed, and we went in the arena, and we were getting ready to pray, and the chaperone was going to ask to pray, and she said no, she wanted to pray, and she couldn't have been but 10 years old at the time. And when she started to pray, we closed our eyes, and I closed my eyes, and everything got silent for a moment. And all I could hear was her voice. And what I heard her say was, God saved my dad. She didn't ask God to send me home. She just asked God to just save her dad. And after that, everything, the noise and things came back. But that night was the night I realized how many lives I had affected. And I went back to the dormitory. And when I got to the dormitory, I got on my knees and I prayed and I asked God to come into my life and change the person I am and help me to see different. And from that night forward, I strived hard. I got in the church community. I started pouring into people's lives, such as everybody I had started coming in contact with, that I had some type of influence in their lives. I started pouring into their lives, not in my words speaking about God, but living it in front of them and living it out every day. Even to this day right now, I live in a way that I'm helping people and trying to guys that are coming into the prison now, because I realized throughout my whole life until I came to that day, I was always taking from people. I didn't have a sense of understanding about life, and I was living like I didn't care.
Mr. Brooks, I fully understand you had a special experience with your 10-year-old daughter.
Yes, sir.
What about the 3 sons of Mr. Bartlett? I think one was about 8, one was about 4 or 5, and there was an infant baby who never got to experience that with their father. Because he was riding a bicycle, trying to get some physical exercise to stay healthy. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Bush.
Okay, now we'll hear from some of your supporters. We'll hear from your daughter, Ms. Keisha.
I think Mr. O'Shea just did a mic drop moment. How do you feel about that? Who here loves Mr. O'Shea? Thanks, Jam Jam. I love you too. You guys are being way too generous right now.
Williams.
Hi.
Ms. Williams, can you hear us?
Yes.
Would you introduce yourself, please, and tell us what you'd like us to know about your father?
My name is Keisha Williams, and Adonis Brooks is my dad. I'm sorry. While I understand that he has been incarcerated for over 30 years, I want to share my firsthand experience with you about the incredible impact he has had on my life, even behind bars. I love my dad, and my children love their grandfather. My prayer every day is that they won't have to grow up without him, as I had to grow up without my dad being physically here with me growing up. My dad has always been here for me, even though he has been incarcerated for all of my years growing up. I know it may seem difficult to believe, but he has managed to remain a constant support of love and support and guidance. He has become a role model, encouraging me to stay in school, stay positive, and never give up on my dreams. I remember going to the Return of Hearts. I was always so excited to spend time with my father. He has never missed giving my names to the families that help incarcerated men to make Christmas and other holidays special for children. He never even left my brothers out. He has shown a strong commitment to personal growth and self-improvement, which I believe would help him be successful into society today. As I sit here today, I am filled with hope about my father's future. I believe that he has paid his debt to society and deserves the opportunity to start anew. I also want to thank you for giving me the time to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. We appreciate your comments. Now we'll hear from Ms. Alicia Fulmore.
You stay right there. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you today. As I stand before you, I'm here to make a heartfelt plea on behalf of someone who holds a special place in my heart. My husband, Adonis Brooks. I want to convey to you the compassion that resides within our story and why he deserved a second chance. We knew some of the people and often ended up in the same social setting. We were both learning how to navigate through the world. Adonis was rough and tough on the inside and out, and I was soft and sensitive on the inside and out. Needless to say, we surely didn't mesh. I was not in the party lifestyle. We took different roads and ultimately went our separate ways. In 2008, our journey journey began, our paths intertwined again, and little did we know that it would lead to a profound love commitment. Adonis was a different man. It was like meeting his opposite twin or something. We began to communicate as friends, and I learned that he was not who I remembered all those years ago. Adonis was a lot less rough on the edges and showed a sensitive and caring man. In 2019, we took the vows of marriage, promising to support and uplift each other through thick and thin. Our bond is a testament to the power and connection of redemption. Throughout our journey, we have been blessed with the joy of seeing our children become adults. Adonis played an intricate part in advising and guiding me with our son, always helping me with the correct language on how to talk to a young Black man. And through his guidance, our son stayed clear of influential friends and never had any trouble with the law. We created cherishing and precious moments shared as a family through visits and phone calls. Together, we have built a strong foundation of love and support, which has extended to our grandchildren. Not only does he exhibit kindness and care within our family, but also in his professional endeavors. As an orderly, he has demonstrated exceptional patience and empathy while caring for the elderly. Day after day, he has approached his work with genuine desire to make positive differences in their lives. His unwavering dedication to provide comfort, assistance, and compassion to those in need is truly notable. It is with this nurturing environment that my husband's selfishness and consideration have shone brightly by putting the needs of others first. Now, why should he be granted a second chance? Because second chances are not merely an abstract concept, but rather the very fabric of humanity. We are all fallible, bound to make mistakes and stumble along our respective paths. However, it is through the virtues of mercy and forgiveness that we can find a true redemption and forge a brighter future. Within my husband's journey lies a powerful testament to a transformation power of personal growth. Like all of us, we have faced challenges and made choices that we regret, yet it's precisely through these experiences that he has emerged as a changed individual and one who has gained wisdom and humility from the lessons life has taught him. In conclusion, if Adonis is granted pardon and has the liberty to re-enter society, the family is ready to offer unwavering support, financial assistance, continued spiritual guidance, and counseling. I implore you to consider the immeasurable value he will continue to bring to the lives of others if granted this opportunity. Thank you for letting me speak today and your thoughtful consideration.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate your comments.
Judge Marabella, excuse me,
Yes.
this is Martin Ambo. We had
Yes,
staff,
ma'am.
that wanted to speak also. No one asked, did we want to say anything? But I do have one of the nurses here to speak.
Okay, well, certainly, yes, please. Please, yes.
She right here, Tanya Falls.
I'm the hospice program coordinator, and I just wanted to speak very briefly on Adonis's behalf. He's been a healthcare orderly in our healthcare dorms, and he is a hospice program volunteer. Both of these acts that he does are truly selfless. If anyone could see the amount of compassion, empathy, and just complete compassion is all I can say. Whenever he's doing his work, it's just, immeasurable in looking at that. This is something that he does not have to do. He truly chooses to do that on his own voluntary, desire. He is a true asset to us, and just watching him with the care that he puts into his job, there's never any anger. It's complete. It's just amazing. I wish people could see what he does on a daily basis with all of these people. And it's not something that you can take lightly. It's a very hard job. Even myself, at times, I get a little overwhelmed with it, but he keeps complete control, and he does an amazing job with what he does for us.
Thank you very much. Ward Nambo, are there any comments you'd like to make?
Yes, and I just want to let y'all know that he has a vocational skill in masonry. He has level 1 and 2. He's NCCER certified. And he also has had the 12-step program, AA, program. He's a HIV peer educated and a certified CPR. He's certified in CPR and he's a minimum aid trustee.
Thank you very much, and I apologize for not asking y'all earlier.
That's okay. Thank you.
Mr. Reginald Watts?
Good evening, good afternoon.
We can see you, Reggie. Oh, you can slide. You want to see your face. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Watts.
I met Adonis Brooks over 2 decades ago. And on first sight, I didn't think he would be much help to the church at Camp C. We was transitioning, and I was always out on the yard and in different places. And a pastor, I was always making myself available to the guys in the camp. Well, I got to know him by playing basketball. I played basketball just to get to know him. He wasn't very good at it. It was just a habit I had and a method I had getting to know people. I got to know him, invited him to church, him and a friend of his. He came to church. He came to church religiously. I didn't believe he was listening too much initially. I gave him an assignment. The assignment was to make tea and coffee for every service. He did. Not only did he do it, but he did it vigorously. He did it as if it was in his heart to do so. So what I started seeing out of Adonis was that he had something in him that just needed to be pulled out of him. And sometimes we miss that because we judge the outside without giving the inside a chance to speak. Mr. Adonis became my head deacon. He remained that for over a decade, close to 13 years, before I moved to the main prison. Many assignments I gave him, he completed. Many times, he stood in the gap for me when I wasn't available. I guess what I'm trying to say is that man that committed those crimes when he was 13, 15, 16, and 18 is not the man that we see sitting here today. He's not the man that started making that coffee, that started being a peer counselor, that went to the cell blocks with me to speak to some of the most violent criminals in Angola. I know with a certainty that he would never do another crime again of such. I recommend that Mr. Brooks would have another chance at life in society, because I know that he's going to succeed. He has all of the backing that he needs, but he has Jesus in his heart. And I know without a doubt that he's going to succeed, and we're going to be there for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. We appreciate your comments. Now we'll hear from the opposition. Ms. Linda Bartlett.
My husband, Jack, was an integral part of the life of our family. He was a wonderful father and preferred to play like a kid when he could. He put together a swing set and buried old tractor tires in our backyard with boys. He had a strong personality that my 3 boys inherited, referred to by a friend of mine who is here today as full force Spartan. On weekdays, he got our 2 oldest boys their breakfast and took them to school. He did vocabulary and math flashcards with them. He was the one always taking their pictures. He was involved in the neighborhood and was studying canon law regarding the future of Holy Rosary School in Baltimore House. He was signed up to work the Coke booth at the St. Pius Church Fair on the day of the student. He had a steel fabrication business with 24 employees. With his professional engineering license and contacts in industry, he kept the shop busy. Boys and I sometimes went to watch them move large equipment out for delivery. He was surprised when his boys told him they wanted to grow up to drive the forklift, drive the crane. He was mentoring and tutoring a young man with a difficult family situation who worked for him while going to engineering school. He served on the state board of Boilermakers and Pipe Fitters. After the boys were born, we hired a sitter sometimes and had been dating again to have some time together. We enjoyed ourselves so much, we added too many activities into our evening together and had to start cutting back. After my mom passed away, he made sure I had Christmas presents since my family was no longer participating in my Christmas. After Jack was murdered around the corner from our home, people I didn't know wrote articles about all he did, sent flowers, and named things after him. I had to find someone to run his business so that his employees were not laid off. We went from 2 parents splitting responsibilities for the care of our 3 boys to me trying to do it all by myself while working. I had many, many sleepless nights and had to learn to do grief counseling with the boys. We had to revisit his death as they grew and reached each new level of understanding. Massive temper tantrums would come at the happiest of moments, such as Christmas tree shopping. We moved to the North Shore, away from the reminders, despite my much longer commute to work. The boys insisted on taking the tires and the sewing set with us. Their strong personalities needed the strong guidance from their father and were hard for me to manage. So I gave in too much, I think. When Big Jack, my husband, died, little Jack was 8 years old and understood death. He had no adult coping skills. He was on antidepressants starting at 8, and as an adult was used drugs and alcohol to cope. A PTSD counselor was helpful for a while. Ben was 6 and didn't fully understand death. He has had moments of anger and rage throughout his life. When we discussed which part of his life impacted, his response was everything. Amos was 2 and just starting to talk. He has had bouts of depression that keep him in bed for days, even as recently as earlier this year. He uses alcohol and prescription anxiety medication to cope. The extended Bartlett family, including Jack's 3 brothers, their wives, his niece, and 3 nephews, his now deceased mother and grandmother were all massively impacted by his death, as well as many friends and employees. Writing a victim impact statement has been traumatic for all of us. For the boys and I, the world contains 2 kinds of people. Those who know about what happened and understood our fear-driven behaviors, and those who do not. We are all embarrassed to explain what happened to Big Jack. Even now, we discuss whether to tell someone new about what happened to their dad. It is easier to avoid a shocked stare and questions about details and what sort of horrible place we have lived in. Discussions about violence and guns are particularly difficult. For me, the sight of handguns still freezes me. I have to escape quickly, such as seeing armed sheriff's deputies in the mall a few weeks ago. Fireworks are another challenge for me. I seldom feel completely safe. Boys call me Fort Knox London. I live in a gated and guarded subdivision with roaming sheriff's deputies where my neighbors don't lock their doors. I have locked doors and gates to my doors. Use my alarm. I lock my car inside my locked garage. I continue to have problems sleeping and still sometimes wake up in the middle of the night with my heart pounding. Throughout the last 31 years, I've been paying for mental health care continuously for one or more of us, psychologists, psychiatrists, and social workers. We now understand that the effects of homicide are lifelong and inescapable. The trauma from the violence is always lurking under the surface. This hearing has awakened those compartmentalized emotions for all of us. After Jack died, I promised him that I would raise our boys to the best of my ability and that I would do everything in my power to make sure that his murderers never hurt anyone else like they hurt us. I attended every court hearing and the entire trial. I will diligently follow this clumsy request. Thank you for listening. Please deny clemency to Adonis.
Thank you. Anthony Bartlett, report.
Chairman, the state would like the trial prosecutor to be the next speaker in opposition in this matter. The other disappointment is on the, I think, if you want that on, that's fine.
We do have a limit of 3 minutes. I did allow Ms. Bartlett to go much over it.
Thank you.
So what is your request? All right, Mr. Anthony Bartlett, the fourth, sir.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
My life has been forever changed because of this man's actions. I've had to see a psychiatrist since I was 9 to deal with my bouts of depression, suicidal feelings, and general anxiety that I'd never experienced before this event. I have my good days and I have my bad days. Sometimes I'm happier than others. It has affected my ability to focus at times. It's left me feeling harsh and bitter. It's not something I wish for anyone to experience. I feel like I'm being forced to relive these tragic events. Unlike my brothers, I remember all of it crystal clear, like it was yesterday. I am not a whole man because of this, and I never will be. Piece of me is permanently missing and always will be. I'll never be able to get that back. My mother advocated for Adonis Brooks not to get the death penalty. We don't believe that more killing is the answer. We've already lost too much life. That is what got us here in the first place. I would not feel comfortable, to say the least, having Adonis Brooks living in my neighborhood. I don't want to bump into him at the grocery store or any place else for that matter. He's not welcome in our society. Please do not grant this man clemency. I don't think there's anything he can ever do to repair the damage that he's caused. My dad is never coming back. I will never see him again. My father was an irreplaceable human. And I'll never see him again. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Bartlett, for your comment. Now we hear from Mr. Roger Jordan.
Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me speak. I was the lead prosecutor on this case and a former prosecutor. I've since retired from the DA's office. And Linda asked me to speak as a former prosecutor. I know that the family had never heard the words from Adonis Brooks about what had happened. And perhaps it did fill some holes for them about what those events were, but I think there were some that were left unsaid. Francelle Monroy was robbed by Adonis Brooks and his co-defendant Maurice Page. She identified Adonis Brooks as the one that had the weapon and ordered her to give over her jewelry and ultimately a cassette case that I guess he thought was a purse. Both men ran around the corner, and that's when they confronted Jack Bartlett. Neighbors on that scene heard loud voices. And then they heard a crack of a gunshot, and that's when Jack was shot in the neck and it severed his carotid artery, and he died on that scene. What the neighbors do testify to and did testify to at trial is that both men, that is Adonis Brooks, who told you that he's the one that had the gun and he's the one that shot Jack, both men, he and Maurice Page, were running down the street. And neighbors did hear both men laughing, and a neighbor did hear one of the men, they couldn't identify which one it was, saying, "I got him. I got him." And now you know who that was by his own statements to you today. And I don't know when Adonis Brooks would have gone into his car and separated from Maurice Page, but we do know, based on the evidence, that Albertine Beverly, who was an eyewitness as well, was across the Bayou St. John, and she saw both men running. several blocks away from where this actual incident happened and identified both men, that is Maurice Page and Adonis Brooks. Something that was brought out by the panel when they were asking about any priors. Yes, Adonis Brooks did have a juvenile record. And one of those was an armed robbery that he had perpetrated. Adonis Brooks actually told you that he's the one that had Maurice Page go with him so he could make back the money that he lost in a dice game. I can't speak, that is, for what this impact has had on the victims. I can tell you that as a young prosecutor then, it had an impact on me before I ever got married or had my own sons, you know, trying to understand what it would be like to raise two young boys, you know, without a father. And I can tell you this, throughout these proceedings that we had in preparation for trial, Linda was there every step of the way. Even something that still haunts me, if you will, to this day, when we visited the crime scene, Linda was there to follow the jury as they walked through this crime scene from where Francel got armed robbed to where Jack got shot, to down the street to where Albertine Beverly identified both men, trying to catch up with that jury as they were trying to recreate the crime scene. She had to take off her high heels because she was stumbling along the way. Trusting the system, but making sure she had an eye on it. And all I can ask you today, panel, if you can give her that, and she's going to trust the system, I know. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. York.
Is there one more son in the courtroom?
Two sons in the court.
Do they wish to speak? Okay. Or Mr. White, we'll hear from you.
Your Honor, stand in opposition on the record.
Thank you very much.
I think that might be the first time that we have seen them make an exception for allowing the other sons to speak in all of the commutation hearings that we've done. And that really, really warms my heart. I just wanted to point that out. We've seen maybe over 100 commutation hearings, and that was really nice to see Mr. O'Shea ask to add an additional speaker. Just wanted to share that with you.
Miss Emma Douglas?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I
Just a
appreciate the
second.
opportunity.
Whoa, just a second, Mr. Roche is, what were you?
Okay.
Ms. Douglas, I'll get back to you in a second, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My name is Christopher Bartlett. He was shot 2 weeks after I turned 2. I found out this pregnancy coming up. I didn't even know what pregnancy was. And then I was pretty outraged. Made to write a letter stating why we didn't think he should be let out. And it took me 3 days to write 4 sentences of a letter stating why I didn't think he should be let out. I couldn't start thinking about it, and I just bawling, crying over my laptop. I had to start hiding my laptop from myself, which I used for work, so that I couldn't see it. Having to revisit it and having no memory of him except 4 photos absolutely destroys me. I'm shaking now and shaking this far. And I just can't see it as fair when someone does this to someone and they're sentenced how they were, if they would even have the opportunity to get out. It kind of makes me lose faith in the system as a whole. But yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ms. Douglas, I assume that you would like Mr. Brooks to make his statement before you respond?
Yes, thank you. That'd be great.
Okay. Mr. Brooks, is there anything you'd like to say before we turn it over to your lawyer?
I took some time and wrote a statement out. If I could, if you allow me to read it.
Certainly.
31 years ago, I made the worst decision of my life. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't change it. My action changed the course of life for so many people instantly. I replay that night in my head almost every day. And I'll be replaying it for the rest of my life, whether I'm here or whether I'm on the street. I affected so many people in that decision I made. It was senseless and it was heartless. But I decided I was going to stop allowing my surroundings to dictate my thoughts, and I was going to start making how I feel as a person this day change the surroundings that I'm in wherever I go. I lost my sister, went out 3 years in this prison. She was brutally murdered, and I understand the pain that they feeling for their family members, and I truly apologize for what I've done and what's happening in their life and what's taking place in their life. And for the rest of my life, whether I'm here or on the street, I'm gonna try my best to help people, because that's the only peace I receive now, is helping people. When I'm working in the dormitory where I work, helping these guys in the medical dormitory, or aiding them with their showers, aiding them with taking their baths, aiding them getting their medication, aiding, pushing them to the infirmary, cleaning them, changing their bed linens. I do this every day.
Me too.
Because I don't want to affect nobody like I affected these families this day. And for the rest of my life, I'll be regretting that decision, no matter what. To the Baldwin family, I deeply apologize. There's nothing I could do to change the senseless act I did, but I apologize to you, and I will continue to pray for your family's healing. Miss Manoir, from pulling that gun out on her and threatening her life, taking her belongings, I sincerely apologize for that too. And I just thank y'all for the opportunity to at least express my regret and my apologies for what I have done in my life.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. We appreciate your comments. Now we hear from Ms. Douglas. Douglas?
Thank you, sir. Every time that this board comes together, there's a tremendous amount of pain in the room. And I'd like to say, though, that Mr. Brooks has made a remarkable transformation from the man he was when he entered prison. He became a person who, had he been on the outside during the pandemic, would be described as one of our healthcare heroes. Mr. Roche asked about how Mr. Brooks was going to pay back society for the harm that he had caused. And although he is a very, very humble man, I'd like to tell you guys some things about what Mr. Brooks does every day to pay back what he's done. During the pandemic, when COVID-19 hit the United States prison systems and prison systems around the world, Mr. Brooks took the extraordinary step of volunteering to be locked down with the elderly and sick dormitories so that he could be a contributing factor to helping prevent those gentlemen from getting the disease. As we all know, because we experienced those 3 years of the pandemic, it was really difficult to prevent folks from getting sick, particularly in our prisons. Mr. Brooks lost 15 of his patients during that time and, watched people who he took care of every day with all of their activities of daily living die. Despite that, he continues to volunteer to hold the hands of men who are at the very end of their lives. He sits with them and he offers them comfort as the only person who can really do that in that moment. He is there instead of their family, instead of their friends, and instead of their loved ones, and gathers the strength and fortitude to stand there in that pain with them. Mr. Brooks has also been able to be a father to his own children while he's been incarcerated. He's managed to build relationships with them and find the love of his wife, despite the bars that have been between them. He has grown into a compassionate person. He has grown up in prison. He is a person who has not taken the harshness of his environment and let it affect him and let it make him hard, but instead has learned to be a compassionate person who is there for those who are at their weakest now. I implore this board to give him the opportunity to bring that compassion out of the gates of Angola and back into our communities so that he can continue to give back. I respectfully request that this board recommend Mr. Brooks for commutation of his sentence. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comment, Ms. Thomas. And we,
Yes.
all right. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Brooks, you're doing some great things in prison. Caring for our sick and the people on hospice is very, very tough. And I applaud you for that. You've had a good disciplinary record. You've done some tremendous things. Our biggest thing is that we have to look at both sides of things. And when we talk about retribution, that is the hardest thing for us to look at. I mean, what is enough? To some people, nothing will ever be enough. And to others, they want it to be too lean. And it puts a big strain on us. But in watching these victims speak today and listening to them, especially Mr. Anthony Bartlett, the fourth. And by the way, be proud, you are the fourth. Carry that name on. I mean, that was one of the greatest things my father gave to me. I gave it to my son, and I'm proud to say my son gave it to his son. So carry that on, but at this time, Mr. Brooks, I just don't think it's the right time. My vote is to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Brooks, I had no idea how this case was going to be. I understood the pain for victims and everything they've endured, but I didn't know had to come. And I just want to say to you, you are a decent human being. You are a true picture of redemption. And so regardless of this board's decision, I want you to know that we see that you are a decent human being. But like Mr. Freeman has said, today's not the day. Your day will come, I believe that, because I believe that you're going to continue to do the kinds of things that you're doing now. But because of the raw emotions of the victims and the strong opposition that you have, my vote today will also be to deny, but it's not because I do not believe you are a totally different human being now than when you came in. I encourage you to keep being a light to the people around you. Continue to be a blessing in their lives. But today, my vote is,
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Crochet.
Mr. Brooks. I don't usually echo the statements of another board member, but in your case, it's worth repeating. After hearing the testimony of the Director of Hospice Service at Louisiana State Penitentiary, I saw you in a different light. A person who is going to lockdown with people who needed acute care, the persons who are in danger of getting a communicable disease could have been transmitted to you at any time. But you accepted the responsibility anyway. You volunteered to accept the responsibility anyway because you knew those individuals needed your care. After listening to your attorney in the Southern Poverty Project, I saw you in a different light. As Mrs. Jackson said, you are a decent person. And you should be commended for the service that you have rendered to the facility and your fellow offenders. But I too, and I serve as the victim's advocate. And I have to advocate for the victim. And the trauma, the pain, the stress, and just the comment that these three sons went through raising. The oldest has seen a psychiatrist since he was 9 years old. One or more of these sons have had bouts with drugs and alcohol simply because they were depressed. And as the mother said in one of her letters, the youngest for the longest would search the house for his father and was waiting for his father to come home. I think that was Christmas. And he, for months and years, didn't realize that his father was never going to come home. The trauma the wife and the son have gone through for the last 31 years is immeasurable. As Mrs. Jackson said, today is not the time. The feelings are very raw. And for those reasons, I deny your request. But keep doing what you're doing. And your time will come.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Brooks, you have 3 votes to deny your request for pardon. This is a very difficult case, as all of my colleagues have expressed. I have seen the pains that you have caused. Also listened to all of the things that you've done. And our responsibility and our job is to take all of those things into account, make a determination as to who is the man that sits before us today. After having heard all of those things, my vote would have been to grant a commutation recommendation to the governor that your sentence be commuted to 99 years. But the board has voted, 3 deny your pardon. Your pardon has been denied today, but I think everyone has encouraged you to continue to do the things that you're doing, and perhaps the next time will be your time. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board. Thank you. All right.
Okay, let's unpack that. Do have the court transcript so we can go over it, but I don't think it's so necessary to go over it in detail, and I'll also drop the link in the description. But what really hit me hard was Mr. O'Shea right there at the end, talking about how the youngest son, the 2-year-old son, would walk around the house looking for his father. And as a father with a 2.5-year-old son, I was able to visualize that crystal clear. And it's just something that's hard to really think about without getting emotional. And his oldest son spoke, and he really hit home with what he said. You could see him, his body was trembling, he was shaking. And I think to think about this is that this is his first time confronting the case as an adult, confronting the man who took his father's life, being in this type of setting. He was only 8 years old when it happened. He wasn't a part of the trial. He wasn't a part of the process. It was just something that happened to him. And then all these years later, he's put in the situation where he's all of a sudden brought back to when he was an 8-year-old boy. And the idea that he has to think for all of this time leading up to the commutation that what if they let him out? What if he is set free? And when I hear the victims speak and when I hear their stories, it's that part that I don't feel that like empathy for the man that took their father. I often do feel empathy for those that are locked up in Angola, but in this case, the pain that would have been caused to the victims, it just far outweighs the punishment that this man has to go through. You believe, and I believe too, that he is a different man. But that doesn't mean that you can although it will happen one day, and I guess that's part of it. It's at what point do you? But I also thought the DA spoke very well. It's nice to see the district attorney show up and put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Oh yeah, and for those who are wondering, Heather, so this is a commutation hearing. So what it means is that, because he has a life sentence, they would have to commute his sentence. They would make a recommendation to the governor to commute his sentence, and then the governor would have to sign off on it. So even if he had a recommendation to the governor, there's no guarantee that it would be signed. But he's allowed to apply once every 5 years. So the family will have to go through this again in 5 years. We also could do one short hearing after this that ends on a little bit of a more positive note, if you guys are down for that. But if it's too late, we can skip ahead. Let's see. Now I'm trying to, I don't do a lot of lives, so let's see if I can do this right. So what they spoke about in the case was basically he was playing dice, and he lost all his money. Adonis Brooks was playing dice, and he lost all his money. So he decided, okay, so I'm gonna go, I want more money, so I'm gonna go rob someone. So he first goes with his buddy down the street, and he robs this woman who he thinks he's taking a purse, but it's really a tape cassette. He gets a tape cassette, if you can imagine, right? And this isn't like late at night. This is 8:20 p.m. on April. I guess in April the sun's probably set by then, so it's dark. But she was she's looking for her tape cassette underneath her seat. So that you open the door, you're looking under the car, the seat. You drop the whatever it is under your seat. Now it's her cell phone, but then it was a tape cassette. And she sees two people walking past her, and she was also, it was a Jeep, and then she saw them come back, and that's when one of them pulled out a shooter, and ordered her not to move. He said, or he would eliminate her. She said that she was able to identify what he was wearing, right? So she just basically, she gave him 2 silver rings. She gave him a watch, and he stuck his hand. Oh, they didn't talk about this part, but he stuck his hand down her shirt. So yeah, they didn't mention that. So now he's robbing her and like violating her. He kept demanding that she give him her pocketbook, and she realized he meant a tape cassette. So which she gave it to him. He told her to get down, and when she squatted down to hold her, he told her to lay on the ground or he'd off her. She said that she could see her whole life flashing in front of her eyes. So this was just one victim that we didn't even hear from today, right? She gave a no comment when the board reached out to her. But this was on the same night, remember. He immediately then, and she said she would never forget the faces of those individuals. And this one incident itself was enough to give him. I mean, we've seen people who do this to get life sentences in Louisiana, so it would have been enough at that time to give him life. And she was the one who was able to identify them in a lineup. So, she helped put them away. And then this is someone else that testified, but basically, here it is. Linda Barkla testified that she married Jack in 1978. So we heard her talk. They had 3 children, ranging in age at the time of the trial, which was from 3 to 9. Here's the street that they lived at when her husband was taken from her. And it was the evening of April 22nd, 1992, that her husband left. Remember how this is? He left the house on a bicycle. He left the house on his bicycle to go visit his mother and grandmother. And those are two people that we didn't see at the hearing because they passed away. But his mother and grandmother had to live with the fact that he was going to go visit them on his bicycle when this happened. And this is Alice. This is another witness testified that she heard loud voices outside her home. She saw people in the street and heard two pops, and saw a person on a bicycle fall over. That's our victim. That's our dad. That's our husband. That's our son, the grandson. He was on his bike and he fell over. She said that the only thing that she could say was that the two individuals who fled were black males of average height and size. She subsequently went out to assist the person who had been apparently shot and discovered it was Jack Bartlett. She attended to the physical lineup but could not identify anyone. And here's the woman who testified that she heard someone say, after the loud voices, she heard them say, "I got him." And then she heard laughter coming from their direction. And that's what the district attorney was talking about. And just to just sum this up, basically, so yeah, he goes and buys his fifth of booze, his Chivas Royal. He plays the game. He loses his money. He decides to rob and basically assault this woman who's minding her own business at 8:30 at night. Then they go right across the street, see a man on his bicycle, and they off him and then laugh about it. And I'll put the link in the description. But I don't know about you, but for me, it's hard to wrap one's mind around it. It really is. And then you have a former fellow inmate that came in his support, and it really irked me. He's talking about he said in his speech like 3 or 4 times, I can guarantee you, I will guarantee it that he will not reoffend. And it's like, you can't guarantee anything. You know, when anyone ever tells you something like, I guarantee you, it's like, how? You can't. I don't know. It's like a pet peeve of mine, so it stuck out to me. But again, in this case, it was for me. This was like the board said. It was we have seen people in these commutation hearings serve their time really well and do like what he's done, selfless things in terms of you know, the board really likes if you're gonna work with like the elderly and the sick, they really like that because it's one of the hardest things that you can do in prison, and he's done that. And we have seen the board commute sentences, but the family came out and really just broke everyone's heart and set things, I think, into perspective for the board, and that's why he was denied. And it is scary to think that one day he can get approved, because when will it ever become easier for the family? When will it not re-trigger them and kind of re-victimize them? But I suppose that's something that we can revisit in another 5 or 10 or 15 years. But I'm certainly glad I'm not on the board because I couldn't do it. So if you guys want to do one more, maybe on a little happier note, we can do that. And sorry if I'm not responding to any comments. I'm new at this live stream thing, and it's hard to look at the chat and chew gum at the same time. Okay, stop sharing. I'm not at my normal home spot. I'm actually like traveling right now. I am I'm actually in a vehicle, and I'm using my hotspot. So, hey Ladybug, what's up? What do you guys think of the new No Way Roche emojis? I think he did a great job. He's from Fiverr. I use this designer from Fiverr, and he is good. I mean, I sent him one picture of Mr. Roche, and he drew that. I was impressed by it. Okay, I got it up here. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Debbie. Your swag, bro. Your name and emoji. Okay. So this hearing that we're about to do is from a former college football star. And at the end of the hearing, we'll get into a little bit of what he did as a college football star. But I'm always fascinated with people who are super athletes and then find themselves, away from their glory days. It's I don't know, it just seems more tragic in a sense. WP in the house. What's up, WP? WP making a live stream. This is the way, WP. Sorry, it's taking so long. Why is this happening? Okay. Oh, sorry. Maybe if I do it like this. Okay, let's go.
First case. Last case of the day. This is a big case. All right, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
My name is Mr. Orlando London, 327-040.
Orlando, my name is Brendan Kelsey, along with me is Ms. Cheryl Renata and Mr. Tony Marabella will be your panel. Ask you some questions, you can respond. At the end, you can make a statement, we'll take a vote. You understand the process?
What happens to WP? Is he really gray? I'm sorry, man. I have no idea how that happened, but that is definitely really strange. Yeah, that's kind of ironic, actually. I don't know. YouTube is so weird sometimes. That's the only thing. Oh, you know what, WP? I know what it is. I know what it is. Sorry. So I canceled the 25. I had like the Roach Squisher $25 membership thing, and I turned it off. I canceled it because I hadn't seen. I just felt like it just felt too expensive to me, frankly. Um, like I did it because other people had it, like Biggin had it and Mike had it, but I feel badly for anyone who's paying $25 a month. I couldn't pay $25 a month per subscription. Like I know I wouldn't, no matter how much money I had. It's just I'm not paying $25 a month. So no, I canceled that level. I canceled the Roach Squisher level. It just made me feel uncomfortable. So you're grandfathered in, WP. You're gonna keep your emoji. Don't worry. But I just don't want to charge. I don't want to charge $25 a month. It just made me feel uncomfortable. So you can sign back up at 99 cents a month, and you'll get the same thing. I'm sorry about that, but that's why it's gone. Anyways, so let's go back to don't worry, WP. You're but now I know why it happened. Yeah, I canceled you all. It is 2023. People get canceled.
You understand the process?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Jacqueline Lundy, who will speak at the appropriate time. Leon Lundy's here, and Lakeisha Brister. They'll make a statement. All right, Orlando Lundy, DOC number 327040. You are a fourth class offender for eligibility date 10/22/2022. Good time date 1/27/2033. Full term date 1/22/2034. 15-year sentence. Possession with intent to distribute cocaine and marijuana. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
How long you been down, Butter?
I've been down at this institution 3.5 years. I did 9 months in the parish. A little bit over 3.5 years here.
What you doing over there? What's your plans?
My plans are here.
What's your plans? Do you be released?
Oh, I'm going to work back at when I bonded out on this charge, I was working at the International Paper Mill in Bogalusa. I'm going for S&K Thomas, and I'm going back to work for them. I'm going back to work there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I already been in contact with them and everything.
Well, yeah. It looks like you. Yeah. Okay. So you got a plan, huh? You got a plan to go. Well, good. That's
Yes,
You've had any problems? Have you had any write-ups lately?
no, sir. I don't even have a disciplinary file, sir.
Yep. You. Of course, it looks like you were back in 2022. You came up before and you had 2 grants and 1 deny, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good. Yeah, I ran into Warden Day here today. He spoke about you a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Do y'all staying busy? What you think, Warden? What's he doing around there?
Well, he's one of our canine orderlies, and part of their job is taking care of the kennels and everything else, but we really picky on trustees that go there because we let them loose in the woods around here and use them to track dogs with. And you got to reach a pretty high level to reach that. And that's where he's working at this time.
Okay, good. I used to play a little football back in the day, huh, buddy? You and Roger McGee?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's been many years ago, hadn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you ain't got no bad knees, elbows, or shoulders from all them times?
I got my meniscus disc tore up in my left shoulder a little bit. That's about it.
I got you. Okay. All right, we'll hear from Jacqueline Lundy now.
Okay.
Jay.
Can you guys? Okay, thank you. When my brother asked me to speak on his behalf, I didn't hesitate. I told him, of course, I'd be more than happy to do so. But if I had to speak on behalf of an Orlando, or you call him Butter, at the age of 20, say 25, I would have declined. But the Orlando, or the brother that you see before you today, has a whole different mindset. He's older. I just in talking to him while he's been incarcerated, I do think he's wiser, and he has other factors in play as well. He's a grandfather. He talks about his grandkids all the time, and also we have a ailing mother. She's old, she's disabled, and she lives with me. And so when I talk to him, he does give me some encouraging words to hold on and do the best that I can. He is a whole different person, and he should be. He has I think he does have a good story to tell. I think he will be a productive citizen in society from here on out, and he does have family support.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Lakeisha Brister, would you like to make a statement? Miss Lakeisha?
Yes, sir. You can hear me?
I can.
All right, just basically just rephrase exactly what my aunt just spoke upon. That is my father. He is a grandfather now. Just to say just how important it is just to have him here now. With the kids. You spoke on, with him being in football. My kids they're getting older now. I have a 9th grader and he's going to 6th grade now. So nothing, you never hear anything negative about my dad in school or anything around the kids. Like they just need him here. So I just wanted to be the one. I didn't speak last time, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to this time to express how important it is just to have my dad here. And that's about it. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so much. All right, Orlando, you wanna make a statement for yourself?
Yes, I just want to tell I've had the opportunity since the last time I came up in front of y'all to continue my rehabilitation. And I want to still say I'm sorry for what I put my family through and all that there. And I promise you, I never have to go through this no more. I feel like I want to continue to rehabilitate myself. I did that and I became a mentor since I've been here. And I want the opportunity to help other kids. And I just want to tell my family I'm sorry. And I want to thank them for all the things they've been behind me and the support they have given me since I've been here.
All right, Butter. Well, look, I'm gonna give you a shot, my man. I'm gonna vote for you. Look, you got an opportunity here. I'm gonna vote to grant you parole. You need to try to stay right. We don't want to see you back in here. You don't need to come back in here. You got people out there that love you and support you. So you need to get out, and now's your time to do right. But my vote is to grant you parole for the programs you've done, the work you've done. Like I said, talk to Warden Bickham, talk to Warden Day, all the work that you've done. I want you to attend NAA 2 times a week while you're out there, and I want you to do community service 6 hours a month. So that's a good opportunity to talk to some of them youth that keep them out of trouble. Try to let them know where your path took you, and maybe you can help. That's my vote. Okay. Good luck to you, Ms. Renata.
My vote today also is to grant you parole. The warden spoke highly of you. Warden Day as well stopped by this morning to speak for you. You got great family support. You got a good plan. My vote today is to grant with the same special conditions.
Mr. Marabella.
My vote is likewise the same for the same reason.
All right. About 3 votes to grant you parole. Parole's been granted. Good luck to you, man.
Great, thank you.
All right, Warden Bickham, we appreciate you. We're going to get out of here. We adjourn at 12:28. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go to bed.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you.
Well, I love it. So if you're wondering what he was doing, I know we all are. They didn't bring it up, or what he did, I should say. But it was, I found like an appeal. There's nothing to go over. It doesn't say what he did. It just says that he got an habitual offender charge. So it wasn't, it's possible it was just dealing or using or possession or something like that. you know, the typical stuff where they like to lock people up forever in Louisiana. But it was, I liked how Mr. Mirabella called him by his nickname at the end. So we could just go over, this is, I'm just going to talk about kind of like probably what might have been the highlight of this man's life. This article was written 8 years ago. And it was written 8 years ago about a football game that took place over, well, almost 40 years ago, 1983. And it was about so here it is. It's he's talking about, given our lack of success against LSU over the past 30 years, it may be a little hard to believe that not such a distant past, Mississippi State actually defeated LSU 5 years in a row. That 5-game winning streak, 1980 to 1984, was part of a longer period of success for the Bulldogs, who captured a 9 of 11 contests during the period of 1974 to 84. Again, this is college football. So they had a legendary quarterback, John Bond, who is just owned the Bengal Tigers. So he had a 4-0 record against LSU, which is a top team in college. He was the first quarterback to ever beat a team 4 times in a career, and is still the only opposing quarterback in LSU history to accomplish such a feat. And this is not our man we're talking about right now. This is they're standing in quarterback. But what happened is that on the next game that they were going to face their arch rival LSU, he got injured. And he couldn't. He had to leave the game, and this rookie quarterback who hadn't played a game yet got his chance. He got his chance. He was the backup quarterback, and who was he? Orlando Lundy, and he came from Bogalusa, Louisiana, and he had the game of his life. The game that every football child dreams about. He went for 115 yards passing it, rushing, and 157 yards passing, and he took the team to 16-14 victory over number 9 LSU, and he made it the 5th row in the series. And that probably was the highlight of his career. He ended up, getting a bunch of starts. He won the starting position, but he didn't make it into the NFL. But to think about what that night must have been like for him, to be the toast of the town, to hear all of the cheers of the crowd, to think of all of that moment, and then to just fast forward basically 40 years later to think that you'd be in a prison cell hoping to get released. There's I don't know, something very dramatic about that for me, but hopefully he does make the best of it, and hopefully we don't see him again. That's my thoughts. But yeah, that's it for I guess tonight. I can't release WP Jam Jam. He's I'll compromise at a $20 subscription. No, it just there's no need for it. WP, you can do the 99 cents. You get everything that you had before. Your grandfathered in. You got your emoji. You can't take it away. And I really felt uncomfortable with the $25 membership thing. It was kind of like bothering me. You know those things that are bothering you, and you kind of just let it go, and then you realize that you're thinking about it too much. And I just clicked the button and it's funny. You guys are too funny. You guys crack me up. Thank you so much, mods, by the way. I have to say thank you. You guys are crazy. You not only come here and mod the channel, and for those of you who we at the beginning we took the mod thing a little bit more lightly. We had a lot of but now it's more of a serious thing. We have emails going back and forth, and there's a lot of huddles and behind the scenes chatter and a lot of work that goes into it, going over the comments. It's a lot of time, and I frankly, if this channel was doing really well, I would like to pay the mods. So I whenever the mods send money to this channel, it always feels also a little bit awkward, but just have to say that that's very generous of you guys. Thank you, Invisible and Jam. It's it's a lot of money. So a poll. Okay, let's make a poll. We can make a poll. It's so different, when I do these live streams, I need to ask Begin how he does it, because I have all these monitors open, and I use StreamYard to stream, but I can't make polls from StreamYard. I can't even see emojis. It comes in as weird, and I have multiple screens, and it's quite annoying, actually. I don't know how they do it, how they manage it. Thank you, Amanda. That is so generous of you. Really appreciate it. Here it is. So let's see. So I have to pull up the YouTube to run the poll, even though I'm sitting here on StreamYard. How much should WP membership be? $1. Okay. Community peer pressure is good, WP. Just don't end up in Angola, because, man. Well, it looks like $1 million is so far winning. A couple more for 1 million. Let's go. Why aren't you gonna vote, Edna? You need your vote. Yeah, WP is gonna be in big trouble. We're almost there. 44% is $1 million. And that's $1 million a month, by the way. You can't see the poll, Invisible. It's we have a poll. It says, how much should WP's membership be? So either $1, $100, $1,000, or $1 million. And this is monthly, so that would be 12 million a year. You'll have to cash in crypto. Are you a crypto guy, WP? And so far, $1 million has 40%, tied with $1 at 40. Oh, $1 just took the lead at 45%. $100 has 18%, and interestingly enough, $1,000 has 0%. No, 25. You know, it's actually not a simple thing. I canceled it, and in order to reinstate it, even to cancel it, YouTube has to, like, you can't just add tiers to your membership. YouTube actually goes through a process where they have to review it. And so, like, if I wanted to add a $25 thing again, you have to go into the dashboard, you have to create it, and YouTube reviews it, and however long it takes for them to review it, you know, it's you know, whatever. $1 is in the lead. We should have a poll on which poll is going to win. Hey, Baroness, who cancels memberships? So there's actually a pretty decent amount of churn. It's, I think that a lot of people are, you know, if you don't have it on auto sign up, it's not gonna, you're not gonna remember to come back in and tee up on the membership. But yeah, for those of you who are curious, by the way, also a membership, membership and gifting, it actually does the same. Like it doesn't cost. So like if someone were to donate $10 to the channel or buy $10 in memberships, it's the same thing to me. So I actually prefer being gifted memberships over being gifted straight up cash. Why? Because a membership, it's a gift that gives to both the channel and to those who receive the membership. And it's the same financial outcome. And then that member may come back more because they're members. So members actually the best kind of gifting, in my opinion. $699. That's the I think that's the Ninja Turtle membership. Yeah, poor WP. This is not the way. Do I have to explain this? He's a funny guy. Gifted membership. Yeah, it is Jam Jam. And I don't know. I don't see what I would have to do, I think, to stop that is I think I need to remove the $3 membership level. When I added the 99-cent level, I thought that it would by default move the gifted memberships to 99 cents. And it didn't happen. So then I thought, well, maybe it would take like 3 weeks or 2 weeks for it to cycle through. And it didn't happen. So I think what I need to do is remove, but the problem was if I were to have removed the $3 memberships, it automatically cancels everyone who's on the $3 membership, like what we just did to WP. And so that's like kind of like the conundrum. I can't believe I said that word. That's the like. Anyways, it's like, what do I do? Do I cancel the $3 member? It's going to cancel, maybe it might cancel like 150 people's memberships, including gifted memberships. So I don't really know what to do there. I don't know what to do. I like the idea of it being a 99-cent gift because, you know, a $10 gift now gifts 10 memberships. And I think that that's better for the channel. I think it's better to grow the channel by having more members. Leave it alone. Stop messing with my computer. Uh, yeah, WP, I bet you don't like getting demoted. You're gonna go from sergeant to private. Yeah. So I don't know. What did you guys think about that hearing? There you go, Lisa. You see, and I love seeing. What makes me so happy when someone gifts and then someone gets the gift and then they're like really happy. That completes it for me. It's like it's just nice. So oh, that's so cool, Tamiko. Am I pronouncing your name right, Tamiko? Um. You guys won't believe it, but you know, I'm in like I'm in like a parking lot right now in a vehicle. I'm not I'm traveling, so I pulled over at like a rest stop and hey Jessica, yeah, you're pretty late. We finished the premieres and now we're just chatting. I don't really do lives. I do premieres normally, so this is kind of new for me. I've done a couple of these. And I should be careful. What in the... Yeah, WP's demoted. He's a private now. What did I get for dinner? So I'm not like near any type of like food stuff. So I have a fridge because I'm traveling in an RV. So I have a fridge and I cook stuff. I was thinking of doing one of those. Oh, that's awesome, Jessica. So have you seen like all? I think we have more than 600 hearings. Have you seen? How many have you seen? Yeah, I'm in a rest stop. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was thinking of doing one of those. You ever watch those things where people just film themselves cooking something, but they don't talk? So I made hash browns, eggs, coffee, and I don't know, doing that out of an RV. I only just need some rain on the RV, and it will make it perfect. Hey, Lockdown, you're late, but good to see you. You're not going to hear me say this until it's way over. I'll be finished traveling tomorrow. I'll be done. I'm not on vacation. I'm actually just traveling. I'm just traveling from like point A to point B. It's an old RV. It's been in the family a long time. It's 20 like a 24-year-old RV, but it's a champ. What do we call? We have a name for her. What is her name? Bertha. Her name is Bertha. Right. I am a sovereign citizen. I am the not the person. I am the entity, and I am not driving. I am traveling. I am not doing commerce. I am just traveling. So you can, those sovereign citizen people, they're just nuts. And it's really the strangest thing because it doesn't work for them. So it's like, why do you do it? It just gets you in trouble. They just get more and more in trouble. Right. Exactly. See, Mandu didn't demote WP. The entity Mandu deleted WP. And I am the supreme sovereign citizen leader. Exactly. All of my there's a who's that YouTuber? He's one of the best, I think. He's in the top, maybe top 5. He did a whole episode on sovereign citizens. It was really good. Who is he? He's the guy who he does like one episode a month. He does like 12 a year. It's really good. Wow, Jessica. 5 daughters. I'm sorry about your husband. It is it's a big RV. Oh, I almost got into an accident today actually. When I say almost got into an accident, the guy hit my mirror. So he blows past me on the right and he slams into my mirror. You know how they in these big RVs they come out like 3 feet, and he banged into it, and the whole thing flipped around, and he just drove off. And that's when I said, okay, yeah, I'm done for the day. And there's a rest stop right there, and I just pulled in, and I said, I'm done for the day. But it's now the mirror is like, it's not broken, but it moved, and I need a special wrench to tighten the bolt underneath it. So now I need to finish my drive without a right mirror, and that's not going to be easy, because how do you merge into right hand lanes with a blind spot? But I don't know. I'm going to have to figure it out. Just my goal is going to be just to stay in the right lane, so I don't need to merge in right lanes. But I'm also pulling my Jeep, so I'm almost as big as an 18-wheeler right now. I'm pretty big. It's a 37-foot RV, and then pulling a Jeep, it makes it like a good probably 50 feet or something. That's right, WP. Yeah, I'm pulling my Jeep. I'm pulling my 1997 Jeep Wrangler. That thing just wants to go and go and go. I get a little nervous. Pulling it, because I wonder, there's a lot. I don't even want to jinx it. I'm not going to say anything. Did I tell my mother? My mother told me not to do what? Oh no, Carol, it's not my rear view mirror. I don't have a rear view mirror in the RV. It's the side mirror. I also always wanted a Jeep Wrangler. It was always a dream vehicle of mine, and it's actually a good story how I got it. I got it for myself on my 30th birthday as a 30th birthday present. And I was on a business trip in Las Vegas, and I bought into a 1-2 no limit poker game, $80 buy-in, and I basically couldn't do anything wrong. I just got the best cards for like 10 hours, and I won like $1,800. And that was a lot of money to turn $80 into $1,800. And when I got home, I went on Craigslist and I found a Jeep Wrangler that had like no power steering, no brake, nothing. It was just pretty much like a non-drivable Jeep. He didn't even let me test drive it, but I just said I'm buying it. I bought it for I think $1,000. I love stick too. All of my cars that I've owned, except for one, have been stick shift. I just enjoy it a lot. And I put like another like $1,000 into it, and I have to put a few $100 into it every year. And I had to have the frame welded 2 years ago, but outside of that, it's just a Jeep that just keeps on going and going and going. And it's kind of like a Flintstone car because there's so much rust in it. You can actually see. The holes are big enough in the floor where you can see the street, right? It's really like a Flintstone car, but it just keeps going. Um, oh, it's totally worth it. And I've lived in many different states over the past like 10 years, and I just bring it with me to each state, and I've had it in snowy states and sunny states, and so it's just the perfect car for any state, any state. I know, don't drop your phone. That's so true. No. It's just me. My family flew because it would have been too difficult, and I drove on meeting them there, but I enjoy it. It's kind of like therapy. It is a Flintstone car, but for the RV, it's like therapy. It's there's something therapeutic about it. I don't know why, but I've always kind of wanted to do like the truck driving thing just for a little bit, you know. But so this is like the next best thing. Put it in D, not T. What's T though? Anyways, I think it's travel. Right. Yeah, exactly. Like a sovereign citizen. When they get pulled over, they probably change. You know, they take a white out and they white out where it says D, and then they change and they take a black marker and they write T. Yeah, just go with an RV. It's a good idea. I carry protection though. I stop in truck stops with truckers, and and when you're in an RV in a truck stop, you often are sticking up. So I carry protection. I sleep better at night that way. I don't know how people would travel in an RV and park in a truck stop and not take the right measures. Lockdown. I know you're not going to hear me until it's too late. Maybe I should type it. Yeah, I am pretty sleepy. I think that's a good hint. We've been going on for 2 hours and 8 minutes and 45 seconds. So we'll close up the chat. And I just want to say thank you all so much again. I love you so much. Having a lot of fun with the greatest community on YouTube, as we say. And that's right. I'll take my WP Ninja with me, and I'll be safe. You're like probably like the Zohan WP. I imagine you being the Zohan. Oh. Oh, that's sweet, Jessica. I'm sorry also. Have a great night, everyone. We'll do a premiere tomorrow. Not live, but I'll try to do live more often if you guys like this stuff. No, I'm definitely going to sleep.